Richie has a question about Amazon. Oliver has a question about Micron. So if I'm saying your name, it means I see your question and I will get to it. Yes, Mark, there's time for gold. What ticker do you want to look at specifically? All right, for anybody who has to head off, appreciate you taking time to work on your trading. I'll see you in sessions and coaching. If you have any questions, you can email support@himaReddy.com and my team will be happy to assist. Okay, so Mark, I see your question about GC. All right, so that's a good bunch that'll probably take me into the end of our session. So I've got NG, so I'm just calling this round 2 sort of, Amazon, Micron, and Scale Z, and then GC. Okay. So here we go. Natural gas has been crazy. So I have on my other screen here, I have my forecasts that I had done on February 12th. So I'm just going to take a look back at them. So on nat gas, I have a very long-term forecast. It's not till April, but we held nicely. We held really nicely off this support that I had, okay, on February 11th. Look at that beautiful trend line, right? So up ahead here, I see that we have this entire past price spike range, JP. So you probably are well aware of that. And I see room to continue. I do see a little bit of a mini pretty point here within the larger. Although the thing is that the time has probably run out on this second forecast. Ugh. Okay, things are getting messy. All right, let me just do what I need to do here. Oh, you guys see that? 2 days apart, a short-term forecast and a long-term forecast. I love when that happens. You guys see that? Please type a Y in the chat if that you see that these two lines, whether you know how to draw the forecast or not, you see they're landing 1 day apart. Okay, so I would think that we're going to continue to edge higher in natural gas into end of the week, possibly Monday. That's what I got. And I would watch this midpoint of this price spike on the daily chart. It's pretty important. All right, JP, does that help you out in short term? And in the support side, I would look at this level right here. Okay. All right, Amazon. So, you know, you hear these stories about how, not stories, but in my kind of introduction, I have said, it's 100% true that my dad, who passed away several years ago, bought up a chunk of Amazon stocks and I helped my mom manage them. So my mom is a significant, somewhat significant owner of Amazon shares. So I just have that caveat, but I analyze it just like I do everything else. And it was really an interesting stock all this sideways time here for these past couple of years, but it was just kind of chugging along and now starting to show signs that it may want to correct further. So on the daily chart, we are still holding that January 24th range. Let's see exactly where this landed. So we had a midpoint on there at 2802.97. Today's low was 2790. So very close to that, you know? So for Amazon, I want to wait and see how today's range shakes out. If we end up closing anywhere similar to what today's bar looks like, then I would look at the GAN nano levels inside. So one of those is a midpoint, yeah, but the others are detailed in the GAN candlesticks, right? Looking at the various GAN levels. And then you might have recovery to this old bottom first, but that's a barrier that's imminent. Do you see that? Who asked me about Amazon? Richie, do you see that? Does it help you out? Okay. Micron. Micron has been trending higher, fell into October, rallied, and staying a little bit stronger than everything else on the monthly chart. Nothing really notable on the momentum here, so I'll just move to the weekly. And the weekly chart had a nice lift off after testing the bull support power zone in October. Here we had a version of a test failure. So I teach a very strict version of my test failure signal, but we had a version of it here, okay? So it was a bearish test failure at these highs, which provided a nice dip, and now came back into this price spike, which was also a candlestick pattern. What candlestick pattern was this, guys, here that I just highlighted in yellow back on January 7th? Again, candlestick students, tell me what candlestick pattern that was. Remember, you have to think about candle patterns in relationship to what the pattern is, what the bar looks like, but also where it is in the trend. Yes, shooting star. So afterwards, it had a bullish bar, but it did not take out the high of the shooting star. And then we had this big drop. So I'm going to bring this down to the weekly now, because I see potential for this to end up kind of consolidating a bit. We have support here. Oops, come on. Sometimes these things get finicky. There we go. And resistance here. And somebody asked earlier about like a color legend to my annotations. The best way to get familiar with my annotations is to get my skinny on the mini analysis, because I'm doing this every day in there. And in that portal, I have education on some of how I color code, what everything means, because literally what I do in the skinny is what I'm translating to here. So whoever the question about like a color chart, check out my full skinny lifetime is what it's called. And it's the skinny on the markets. Okay. You can email the team and ask about that. All right, let me go down to a daily time frame. Ah, beautiful. Look at this. The weekly price spike beautifully held on February 15th. Type a Y if you guys see that. Right? Really nice. And now where are we back at the top of the weekly price probe? This is why I love price spikes and probes. I could write a ballad about price spikes and price probes. Seriously. Like when you see, now that I'm on camera, I haven't always been, right, for these coaching sessions, and I'm not for every single one. I hope you guys can see my amazement at how the techniques work is like actually authentic. I'm not just pretending, having done the analysis, you know, a week ago and then saying, no, I'm even sometimes amazed at how useful these techniques are. And they happen over and over and over. So where we are now, I don't really see a forecast I would feel comfortable drawing just yet. But if we get some recovery, I think that there's room to come up into like the $91 area. I'm seeing a few things that point me to that, a little bit more complex. Okay. And now let's move on. So Oliver, does that help you for Micron? Yeah, Bobby's saying we need the courage to take the, I don't know, I guess he means plunge. It happens. When you see things line up, you guys, as you learn, be able to do this analysis and trade, right? And when you see the analysis and it like lines up so well, sometimes you can't even believe it could be that straightforward. This been happening to me more recently with the volatility of the market. I cannot tell you how many trades I've missed because I hesitated for 2 milliseconds and I missed an entry that I literally would have called the thing to the high or the low. It's frustrating, but I remember these are very volatile times. This is not how it's always going to be, right? At some point, it'll go back to my steady, gives me a second chance mode. So I have to just deal with that. Okay. All right. So now coming into skills here. Skills. All right. So let's go to the monthly chart. Oops. And the question about this, Bobby just wrote skills and didn't give me any other context. So we'll use it accordingly. downtrend. This is obviously not a long living stock, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. This could be a widget to me, but I could Google and find out, but that's not the point of these sessions. I don't need to know as a technical analyst every single ticker you guys are trading. I'm just trying to practice the techniques, okay? So it's impossible for me to know every stock, every asset, every ticker. So if I get a ticker from you and I don't know what it is, we're still gonna run the same drills on it, right? Type a Y if you guys understand that. At this moment, I don't know what skills is. I could look it up and that might help if I was about to trade it, and you should. If it's a stock, you better know when it reports earnings. If it's on the NYSE, okay, so it's an NYSE stock. Besides from that, I'm just using my analysis. Oh, it looks like there was a really long-term, like I could have broken this up. I could have drawn this on the monthly probably. There's a nice cycle here that I think was helpful to be ready for this pace of this move lower. This market's not as weak as one suggests. Okay, it's a gaming platform. Okay, cool. So let's go to the daily chart. Okay, this is too big of a cycle to keep on the daily chart. And we have this gap lower starting to recover. I mean, with this stock being under $5, I would normally not even look at it. That's just my personal preference. But this is a stock that is in a downtrend, but in a potential area for recovery. We have to see how today shakes out. It looks like today's action will create some sort of gap down, a falling window. I have a very unique way of analyzing falling windows. Nobody else does it, where I take my Gann techniques and I combine them with falling windows. That's in my Gann candlesticks trading system. And the reason I'm, again, like I said earlier, the reason I'm mentioning my different education and systems where I teach things is so that you know where it is, okay? This is just an open coaching call. I don't have any sort of promotion or special thing I'm going to announce at the end. I just wanted to stick out my hand and say, hey, you want some help today? Because it's a little bit of a wild day, and that's what we're doing. So Bobby, I think that's who asked about skills. You got to see how today shakes out. And then from there, you want to study the gap that forms. It might provide some useful resistance levels to monitor. Okay, for Mark, and we're going to finish out with this one, gold. So I know gold well, and I'm going to look over at my long-term forecast I just did on it so that I'm consistent in what I'm talking about. So that's on my other screen here. Ooh, yeah, we're coming in March. I do have a forecast for gold. Again, that's in my full quarterly reports. But let's just take this and go through the whole exercise again. Last time, you guys ready? And then I'll take a few minutes to answer general questions. So type a Y in the chat if you're ready for your last push, monthly, weekly, daily, momentum, candlesticks, forecasting, trend lines, whatever goodies I see here. Okay. Weekly, monthly chart. And the funny thing is, because I have other analysis I do on the side, I'm just double checking it again to be consistent. Okay. So on my monthly chart of gold, I didn't have any special annotations or anything. We had been consolidating. We finally started breaking out higher this month. So that's good news. And notice how this whole consolidation had basing going on in the bull support power zone. Do you guys see that? That can help on a monthly time frame. There's a reason that when I train and introduce on the RSI power zones, I start with that monthly oil chart. Is because if you can see things on a monthly commodity, that really builds your confidence that you can use it on smaller time frames and markets, right? Okay. So we're looking like we're going to go up on the monthly in the short term, right? In the next few days, weeks. Weekly, similar idea here. We've broken above these highs that were capping consolidation. All this basing that was going on, except for this first low, all of this had price lows forming in the bull support power zone. Let me literally map these out for you. So I'm highlighting the price lows. Again, price low is my special terminology. So I have three ways I look at price based on the bar, then what I call price high or low, and then what I call swing high or low. These are all in my winning price action playbook. This is a little bit newer, so I'm just going to type the name in here